Well, Master Jason, are my eyes playing tricks on me? Because this morning when I visited RottenTomatoes.com, the curious catty inside of me wanted to see what the scores were for Dungeons and Dragons Among Thieves, or Honor Among Thieves, because why am I getting confused with that title? Because one of the greatest sequels ever has a very, very similar title, minus one word, huh? Yep, and it still hasn't been damaged yet. One of my most beloved sequels ever. And guess what? I looked at the website this morning, Rotten Tomatoes, and I'm not kidding you, the audience score was around 86% based on about 6 reviews. I didn't take a screenshot because I thought by the time I get home to talk about this video, they will still be there. But mysteriously, those audience scores have been removed. Now, it's from people who had seen the film, I'm led to believe, and some of them had said very vague comments like, oh, it's a bit sad, it's going to make you laugh, it's going to make you whatever, overjoyed, I suppose. And if you're a big D&D fan, be prepared, you're going to love this film. And I find this score quite incredible because it seems across the board, people seem to like the film. Now, I have seen some negative reviews, so lo and behold, I'm going to be curious and I'm going to go and watch the film. I'm curious because, again, I'm not going to be fooled into thinking this is going to be a fantastic movie because we have seen the warning signs before, and case in point, we have a brand new, featurette from Paramount Pictures. It was released, I think, over 5 hours ago, and let's have a quick snippet of this.
But we're going to fix it.
I'm a con man. I team up with Safina, who's a dreaded red wizard.
Okay, so we've got a female baddie there. And you know what? I'll say this much about the look of this film so far. It's got some vivid colors. Some of the imagery is pretty cool, pretty spot on. It seems they're not keeping away from the horror element about this game, or rather should I say this film, based on the game. In fact, the cartoon from the 80s definitely had a lot of horror elements in there. But, it looks good. It looks all right. I don't think some of the visual effects are that fantastic where the dragons are concerned. Chris Pine, he used to be a very masculine dude. Now he looks very emaciated. He's got a bit of the big head syndrome coming along. He seems like he's lost in the wilderness slightly. Stuff like this looks pretty good. I forgot who this guy is, but he's a pretty funny dude. I kind of like him. He's just playing the goofball. But yeah, you've got imagery like this. Holger the Barbarian, played by Michelle Rodriguez, because listen, we very rarely ever see her playing anything other than the rough and tumble female characters. I think it's only that film Hustle, was it Widows, with Viola Davis, everybody else's favorite insufferable female, where she gets to play down the strong traits just ever so slightly. But I'm still cautious, guys. And again, the reason why I'm cautious, and I'll get back to that in a minute.
A few moments later.
And I want to talk about the meta critic scores, Rotten Tomatoes. Like I said, something's afoot at the Circle K here, based on 47 reviews. Oh God, Randy Jones. I want to call him Wendy Jones. And people have been saying that the critics who have seen Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves, delightfully funny and action-packed campaign thrown onto the big screen. So they're using the word campaign like this is a video game. It's actually a board game, isn't it? So let's not confuse the two there, Wendy. If you've ever in your life slung a 20-sided die, spent hours debating alignment or the range of a fireball spell, let out a sigh of relief when you made a saving throw, rolled a natural 20, know that THACO means you must see this movie. We do have some negative reviews here. The kind of post-Marvel blockbuster that repeatedly undermines itself for the sake of generating some cheap laughs. Peter Gray, D&D, Honor Among Thieves is supremely entertaining, and that balances its situational comedy and emotional outlay with a welcome confidence Fred Topel matches the grandeur of Lord of the Rings, really? And Game of Thrones with an irreverent sense of humor. D&D is more accessible than those fantasies. Whether viewers have played the games or not, well, I haven't. I'm just more accustomed to the 1980s cartoon, which is still to this day extremely awesome. Casey Chong, a visually stunning and fun-filled medieval fantasy adventure. So you see down the board, oh, here we go. By the end, no one doesn't come away with a deeper appreciation for the board game's fantasy universe, partially because the narrative is so insistent on functioning as a cliche story about the family people make throughout their lives. So as you go along, you can kind of see that, like, across the board, it's made. I mean, I think 6 out of 10 is a Rotten Tomato positive score. So despite the fact this guy scored it a 6, it's still a positive by Rotten Tomatoes metrics. And let's get on to Metacritic very quickly. 77. What do they say here? So you got the 90s, you got the 80s, and I guess if this film was made in the 1980s, we could have had a more, I suppose, really awesome film if it was made back then. But look, we got RogerEbert.com from Brian Tallarico. The truth is that the malfunction spontaneity is almost impossible, and too much of Honor Among Thieves feels like it's unfolding with a wink instead of a nod, instead of being legitimately rough around the edges in the moment and fresh. In fact, this person here talked about, now their standouts here were that the film is playful and earnest, and they talked about Sophia being like the standout. You know, the red-headed female I talked about before in the earlier trailer reaction, this bird right here, she's a standout. Holger the Barbarian, played by Michelle Rodriguez, has some amazing choreographed action fight scenes. Well, I know action movies, so that remains to be seen if I agree with that statement. Again, some of the imagery here looks pretty stunning, but as some people have pointed out, well, they might have taken a leaf out of Guardians of the Galaxy by James Gunn, so that's probably a fair critical statement right there. But again, the reason why my eyebrows are raising, like Roger Moore himself, you had articles from Bounding Into Comics where the writers admit to emasculating the film's male leads. Not for woke reasons, but because it's funny, fun, and fresh. And that's the concern I had about the trailers I've seen, where you don't see the heroes, whether they're white or black or mixed race, depending on where they are actually from, getting stuck into the action. Leave it all to the females, because the men can't really get their hands dirty, can they? It's really, really annoying. It's becoming a trope that I really, really hate now. Goldstein and Daly, perhaps best known as the screenwriters behind Spider-Man Homecoming, which I did actually like a lot, obviously, revealed their less than flattering approach to their film's male character during a recent interview with Variety magazine. So there you go. The pair eventually met with an observation that varies from lead female characters. Rodriguez and Lilith Doric are at the forefront of the action scenes, and the men are often hanging back. So you got Sophia here. You know, she's a redhead. I'm not going to complain about that. They're center stage. Michelle Rodriguez, again, she is a brand onto herself. You think of Michelle Rodriguez, you don't think of someone curvaceous in an evening dress showing some titties. Nope, it's just the complete opposite of that. We like that Holger is the bruiser that does the dirty work for Edgin, and he doesn't like to get his hands dirty. We also love emasculating leading man.
I've always wanted to read this. Basket weaving, the creative choice.
So despite all of this poppycock I've seen on Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic alike, apparently this film may do gangbusters. I mean, what I am looking for is women fighting on the big screen, men taking a back seat. Am I going to like that? I don't really know. I want to see both sexes getting their hands dirty and having a good scrum with dragons and other things that are popping out of the ground or from the sky. Who knows? So on that one, folks, if you enjoyed this video today, make sure you give it a like, make sure you share this video far and wide, and if I were you, and if you were me, you better come back for the next video.
This is Duke Nukem. If you're looking for a douchebag to save the day, then try Jason King on Kung Fu Hot Dog. Alright, now where are the babes?